These are 5 principles to implement into your life that will drastically improve the quality of your teenage years, as well as set you on a path to become your best self as you get older. Number 1, storytelling. One of my goals with YouTube was to become a more articulate and dynamic storyteller. I knew there would come moments in my life when I needed to sell myself, whether that was for a job interview, to talk to a girl I was interested in, or maybe simply to inspire a room of people that I wanted to spread a message to. And the first step to reaching that goal was to improve my vernacular. And obviously, I'm talking about reading books. It's so funny, there are countless authors out there that have gotten rich simply by perfecting the skill of communication. And I believe the more you read these works by effective storytellers, the more you start to register effective patterns of communication. But if you really want to dial in on your storytelling, you have to practice your communication. And this doesn't have to be YouTube videos or TED Talks. Just think about your day-to-day conversations with people. Be more cognizant of the energy that you bring to each word in a sentence. What words need to be emphasized? What words don't need to be emphasized? Where can you implement pauses where you might say ers or ums to make sure that people are actually listening? It's actually a funny little thing that I do. Sometimes when I know I'm listening to someone that has a little bit shorter of an attention span, I'll just pause mid-sentence to see if they're actually listening to me. But yeah, simple techniques like this can be tremendous in improving your storytelling ability. And you'll also find that hearing and telling quality stories makes life more fun. Take it from me, when you become a good storyteller, you stand out from all other teenagers and even other adults. Number 2, the brain trust. In your teenage years, the people that you surround yourself with can quite possibly make the difference between figuring out how you want to spend the rest of your life and doing so in meaningful and productive ways, or just being more degenerate and doing unfulfilling things. And a solid brain trust will help you lead the former. This term was first coined by FDR and has been utilized by several different presidents and leaders throughout history. It refers to a small group of people a leader can confide with to discuss vulnerable topics in an honest but completely confidential manner. But no, you don't have to be a leader to utilize a brain trust. As I've grown older, I started to notice the importance of having a small group of people around me that I can discuss both my personal life and career choices with. And while networking and making new friends has its merits, you should be constantly filtering and building on these friendships to figure out who can be part of your brain trust. A strong brain trust is comprised of these 4 personality types. The auditor. Someone that knows you very well, knows your weaknesses, your strengths, and can provide realistic goals that you can achieve in the long term and short term. Naturally, your close friends or your best friends will be able to fill this role just because they know you very well, usually. The experienced strategist. Someone with real world experience and connections that can help you move forward with your goals. Ideally, this is someone who works or has worked in the field that you are passionate about or starting a career in. For example, for me, one of these people is a YouTuber who is a little bit ahead of the game and I can constantly get advice from on how to improve my videos. And the second one is someone that I talk to get career advice because they know the job market very well. The credible optimist. On days when you feel like a failure or you just need someone to give you a realistic but positive outlook of your situation, you have the credible optimist. It's exactly what it sounds like because this person's credibility, but as well their optimism, is what's going to help you keep going with your goals. Ideally, this role is filled by someone different than the auditor because these naturally balance each other out to keep you moving forward, but also realistic. The outsider. This person is a contrarian. They're a little bit eccentric, and they can provide you with unconventional input and make surprising connections that you and your other members of your brain trust could not. When you find someone like this, your creative process and your general way of thinking expand greatly. Funny enough, my outsider actually lives the farthest away. Anyway, I believe that if you try to incorporate these 4 personality types into your brain trust, that as you get older, you will start to make better and smarter decisions in both your personal life and your career. Number 3, physical competition. Most of my life, I've run away from anything involving competition, especially athletic competition. But this changed a little more than a year ago when I started boxing. Whenever I tell people that I box, there's always a funny expression on their face. I think it's a combination of concern, surprise, and yet respect. And I believe those emotions are fair because boxing is the pinnacle of competition. I'll never forget my first time going to the boxing gym. You open the door and you can immediately feel the sweaty, intense atmosphere. As you get to the bottom of the stairs, it's extremely intimidating because you see all these pro fighters and even non-pro fighters sparring competitively in the rings of this mini arena. I think a lot of people would walk in, look around, feel a little bit out of place, and walk right back out. And of course, the people there are really nice, and I'm, hyping this up a little too much. And honestly, I joined the least competitive program there. It was the program with my university where there was 100 or so of us students that would train in large groups. And I picked this because it was the cheapest option, and I didn't have to worry about brain damage because it wasn't that competitive. But I think there was a pro to this, because the large number of people that were training, in combination with the blaring music and the intense trainers, made it an extremely competitive environment. I'll never forget, in every ab session at the end of the training, I would push myself to the limit, training my core, and feel absolutely exhausted and want to give up. But then I'd look around me, I'd feel the music talking to me and the trainers yelling at my face to keep going, and this would allow me to push myself both physically and mentally far further than I could ever before. And I would compare this to the ab workouts I would do at home when there was absolutely no one around and I was just relying on my own intrinsic motivation, and it didn't even compare. It wasn't even close. I couldn't push myself nearly as far. And so once I discovered these social benefits of competition, I was hooked immediately. But there's a second layer to this. I don't think it's one that I've really discovered for myself. But I've talked to a good few of my friends about their experiences playing club and high school sports, and two big talking points stood out. Number one was the common struggle of having to fight in and out every week in practice and against different teams seemed to mold some of the strongest friendships my friends have ever made. And number two was that personal conflicts were inevitable, but that they taught them great life lessons. For example, when two players on a soccer team aren't getting along, and they're creating quite a toxic environment for the entirety of the team. Yeah, that's a terrible situation to be in for the entirety of the team, and not one that I recommend you stay in. But it can teach you to deal with difficult people, which is a lesson you're gonna have to learn sooner or later in your life. Number 4, community engagement. One of the best decisions I made in college was joining this part-time job where I worked at a print shop. I got the job because I heard it was the easiest gig on campus and I was broke and I needed a little bit of money. And as expected, 95% of the time, I just sat at the front desk and did my own homework. It's funny, what I didn't expect was the quality friends I would make from the job, especially considering this is the time when COVID hit. I know a lot of us definitely went through a little bit of a lonely period during this time because you couldn't really socialize very well, at least. But during that period, I happened to make these close friends at my part-time job, and we started spending a lot of time together. We would order food in at work, don't tell our boss. We would, throw Halloween parties, have Friendsgivings together, all these other small events we go to. And I wouldn't have gotten that if it wasn't for the job. And I recognize that not all service jobs are gonna treat you this way, but some of these jobs I think can actually be quite rewarding. You never know who you're gonna meet and how well you'll get along. And I think it's a little bit ironic that the more selfless you are with some of your pursuits, the more selfish gains you can get from those pursuits. Number 5, digital documentation. I bought this camera, the one I'm filming this YouTube video with, a little over a year ago. And while I bought it with the intention of enhancing my YouTube videos, a side benefit that I've noticed is just being able to document all these little moments of my life, both big and small. And yes, my phone is equally capable of recording video and taking photos, but it also does a million other things. Whereas a camera, especially a quality camera, is able to do just these 2 specific things in a much better manner. So when you purchase a camera, again, a quality camera, it motivates you to be more intentional about capturing these moments of your life. I know some of you are thinking, why do I have to care about documenting my life? I would much rather focus on being present and enjoying these little moments for myself. And to you I say, yeah, that's completely fair. In my first year of making YouTube videos, I found that there is a very delicate balance between managing to stay present in important moments of my life, but also still capturing cool moments to make a video out of. But I challenge you to struggle and find this balance for yourself. because of the warmth and nostalgia of reliving some of these big moments of your life, as well as rediscovering some moments you might have completely forgotten about, usually small little moments that make you feel all warm inside. These are all well worth the struggle. Plus, it's another reason to get you off your phone. Anyway, those are 5 principles I think that you should implement in your life as early as you can. Because if you do, you will notice that your years are quite fulfilling and that you have a good direction with your career and personal life. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more content. Now get off the internet.